was though someone had plugged in a cable, a current was connected, and there was pure electricity in the room.
Thank you for sharing with us some of the electricity.
The energy is incredibly electric.
You know, it was just electric.
As sort of electric as I've ever seen it. It was absolutely electric.
Talk to me about the atmosphere in here. Is it electric?
Excitement, it is electric.
It's electric. Bum 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 ba-dum ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum ba-dum. They should be doing the electric slide into the electric chair at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. It's electric. The Democrat Party told the media that it's electric. So all the media are using the same word because the party told them to. It's like North Korea. Our media, the most corrupt institution in America. I played for you the Democrat Party the other day. They issued the word joy. You know, it's not like joy to the world. It's not a Christian festival. It's not Christmas or anything like that. But they issued the word joy to the news media. And we played the audio montage for you yesterday of their joy talking point. Nothing but joy from the most joyless, wretched, unhappy, miserable, hostile people, certainly in the United States of America. You know, maybe in Burundi, there are people more hostile.
And yesterday, what you saw is joy.
And it was the power of joy.
You know what I love more than anything? The joy. You can't underestimate the power of joy in this campaign. Don't underestimate the joy factor of this. They're going to bring the joy.
People were also just feeling relieved and telling me about how happy they were to see some joy back in the party.
And what we saw last night was this joy and this positivity. You have this happy, joyful, positive ticket.
It's a happy, joyful, positive ticket. They're going to steal everything and give it to somebody else. You know, it kind of reminded me of Michael and I were talking this morning. Remember the Obama phone lady from 2012 that she got the free Obama phone? She felt a great deal of joy, didn't she? And her phone required some electricity too, because you got to charge it and all that stuff. But the newspaper after newspaper, television news outlet after television news outlet, they all used the word joy, and they talked about how joyful. It's propaganda, it's brainwashing, it's indoctrination. Amazing stuff. The New York Times headline, Harris used to worry about laughing. Now joy is fueling her campaign. Los Angeles Times, Harris, joy, and Gaza despair present an emotional conflict for many Dems. Dems are engaged in emotional conflicts quite constantly because of their mental illness, which is as pervasive as breathing among them. Isn't that amazing? And the headlines all across the country, from TV, from newspapers, joy, the talking points from elected Democrats and their media bootlicks. Joy everywhere. And it did remind me of the nice Obama phone lady from 2012. And I think she was in Cleveland, Ohio. Isn't that right? And she loved Barack Obama because he was going to give her free stuff. And we were just talking about that, how everything was going to be free. Joyce was talking about that. You wouldn't have to pay for, gas or electricity. And, in reality, he made everything much, much, much more expensive for everybody, making matters much harder, in particular for people of color. They like to say POC because everything has to be abbreviated. Here's Obama phone lady.
Obama.
You got Obama phone?
Yes, everybody in Cleveland, low minority, got Obama phone. Keep Obama in president, He gave us a phone.
He gave you a phone.
Do more.
Keep Obama in president because she went to the public schools that the Democrats set up for her, and she got the Obama phone, and you got to keep Obama in White House.
Your phone.
You sign up if you on food stamps, you on Social Security, you got low income, you disability.
Hey, I have a question. Okay, what's wrong with Romney again?
Romney, he sucks. Bad.
There you go, typical Democrat voter right there. That's how the Democrat Party does it. They've organized her. They found millions and millions of her, and because of her and giving away free stuff with somebody else's money, all power comes from the barrel of a gun, and free stuff comes from free stuff too. Remarkable stuff. But we've got We opened back there with a bit of a montage of, because they went with joy and, it's free stuff for everybody because that's what socialists do before they start, throwing everybody into gulags, which they're already in the process of doing with all their political enemies. From January 6th to the Trump White House, they're trying to throw everybody in prison for things that Hunter Biden does every day before breakfast. But never mind that. Were it not for double standards and all that stuff. But now the new talking point from the Democrat Party, it's they're going to do a little bit of joy here and there, even though they're joyless, miserable people and confused mentally and in terms of gender and sexuality. A lot of confusion there. But here is the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation. Barack and Michelle Obama electrify Democrats, but warn of tight race. The NBC News Washington desk. Barack and Michelle Obama electrify DNC crowd with Kamala Harris endorsement. Just amazing stuff. Headline after headline. Where's the Washington Post right here? The Washington Post, front page today. Their giant, almost banner headline across the top of the front page. In Chicago, Obama's electrify DNC. Honestly, they electrocute the DNC. And the news media, Michael Piercy. Now, we opened with a clip from the Media Research Center, the wonderful people at the Media Research Center and Newsbusters. But Michael Piercy noticed the same thing today, the electrify and electricity and electrocute thing.
Back-to-back, Michelle Obama and Barack Obama. It'll be electric.
It was absolutely electric. I mean, people were jumping out of their chairs.
Last night was electric.
It's going to be electric.
Last night was electric for many reasons.
It promises to be an electric moment.
She was electric.
Electric feeling in the arena.
It's electric here. CNN is at the front of it.
It's electric.
That was a genuinely electric moment.
Kamala Harris is in a lightning bolt of energy and hope across this country.
Cast this lightning, political lightning, down here on Earth.
Here at the United Center, home of the Chicago Bills, and it was really an electric atmosphere last night.
I've been struck by not just the electricity, it's almost battery powered here.
That was electric.
I think that the electricity you saw here last night, my opinion, electrified people around the country.
In my opinion, it electrified people around the country. He's a major broadcaster at a major television network, and they pay him seven figures. He's the Reverend Al Charlatan. He should still be maybe in prison for what he did with the Tawana Brawley case 30-something years ago. Isn't he amazing? That's your Democrat Party. That's the propaganda apparatus that would it just puts Joseph Goebbels and the Nazi Party to shame. And they did. The Nazis had a big program about joy. They had the big Nazi joy program, and they had to have all the Nazis out exercising every day, and because, joy. And I shared it with you yesterday, the Nazi Party's joy program. I wonder, I think the Nazis also had an electric program, didn't they? And weren't they electrocuting people by the millions because now the Democrats are here, and it's electric. NBC News, Barack and Michelle Obama electrify D.C. crowd. BBC, Barack and Michelle Obama electrify Democrats. Isn't that amazing? The Washington Post, in Chicago, Obama's electrify DNC. And every news outlet, they're just sock puppets for the Democrat Party and the Davos left, the international left. They obviously were unpopular in high school and are desperate for approval, and they're trying to cling to anything. These people are really quite a disgrace. Aren't they amazing? It's electric. I am telling you. Yeah, and of course, Michael, the Media Research Center did a wonderful montage of the electric, but Michael Piercy did one with the electric slide. Got the electric slide music going there because, yes, sir, isn't that amazing? And the joy montage, which is from Newsmax TV. Isn't that amazing? Speaking of bad music and awful production values, the Democratic National Convention opened night 2 last night with a rapper by the name of Lil Jon. He's not Little John. He's Lil John, right? Like Lil Wayne and Lil Butch, and there are a bunch of other Lils too. Because you think maybe they don't know how to spell little or something because they went to Democrat schools. So they got the Lil John and also Little John. That's a character from Robin Hood, but never mind that. So Lil John, who's a rapper, came out on stage flailing all about, and the crowd was electric. It's electric. Turn out the thing, and this is how they open it, because it's more and more like pro wrestling every day, and I don't mean to insult pro wrestling by comparing it to what the Democrats have done to our political system. I've been talking for years about how they've turned our political system into our entire political system, our system of electing presidents, has become a terrible cable television show, and this propaganda, this North Korean style, the Soviet Union, they were pikers when it comes to propaganda. Forget about Pravda and TASS and Izvestia in the Soviet days. What the left in the United States has done to stand up a propaganda machine is beyond compare in human history. I mean, it could only compare to what we saw in the 20th century, of course, but they have outdone the 20th century, the propaganda apparatus of the Democrat Party. The brainwashing of the public with the repetition. You know, it was their boy Gurgle, and he is their boy at this point. Their boy Gurgle, as the Reverend Al Charlatan likes to call him, that said, "A lie told once remains a lie told 1,000 times becomes the truth."
Did I hear you correctly say that perhaps he was influenced by Gurgle?
I think he was. I think they're all quite influenced by Gurgle, as a matter of fact. Amazing stuff. Did you see the Democrats last night when they're open? They had the rapper guy, Lil, not Lil Wayne or Lil. There are a lot of Lil rappers. I think if you Google it, you find like 8 or 10 Lil something or others, because literacy is a Lil issue when it comes to Democrat-run cities and public schools. But after they had the rapper guy, and then it was time to do the national anthem, and then usually followed by the traditional flag burning. And so let's go to the Democrats attempting to give the crowd the national anthem yesterday at the open of day 2 of the Democratic National Convention in Chicago.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad strides.
This is where you need electricity. They should have been tased off of stage. Honestly, like 1,000 volts should have come up through their feet from the stage. And boom, exploding heads like in scanners. I think that's the Democrats trying to do the national anthem. It'd be fair to say they didn't do a very good job of that. Not a very good job at all. This is not a legitimate political party. This is a gang of rabble. I've got the flag burnings coming up, and Barack and Big Mike Obama were both there last night, and they electrified the place, honestly, to the point where I was reminded of Julius and Ethel Rosenberg in the electric chairs, they being executed because they were lefties, commies, that betrayed their country, provided nuclear secrets to the Soviet Union. Their neighbors called them Democrats. They got the electric chair. It's electric. Bum, 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 ba-dum, ba-dum, bum, bum. We're at 888-630-9625.
So in the words of my late friend Aretha Franklin, show some RESPICT.
right, let's go back to the phones, Michael. Let's go to Dave, calling from Silver Spring, Maryland. David, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Dave.
Do you get the feeling that perhaps Kamala's dictionary is just a list of words with no associated definitions?
I think that's true of a lot of these people, yeah.
Well, that's what you're fond of saying, is that they use the words, but they don't know what they mean. Mm-hmm. Now, if you could convince someone that this room was full of electricity instead of, let's say, excitement, which might be more appropriate, you might also be able to convince them that global warming is man-made, that Tim Walz is masculine. And if you believe Tim Walz is masculine, that might explain why you might think you're in the wrong body. You look at someone like him. Or that, as Kamala recently said, that all of this computing power and memory is in a cloud above our heads as opposed to being in computers that are bolted to the ground. So, once again, you are correct. They use the words, but they have no idea what they mean.
It is remarkable, isn't it? I mean, these are adults who have they've risen through the ranks of the Democrat Party. They've been assigned positions of responsibility. They have become, many of them, fantastically wealthy with their limited intellectual capacity, and now they're in charge of everything, and they're just wrecking it, aren't they?
This is the same crew that believed witches were real in the 1300s, that believed the sun revolved around the earth, that the earth was flat. It's the same character type. It's the same personality. It's just, I guess the rule, I guess the thing that we learn is that if you get a critical mass of stupid, you can actually be quite successful.
Yeah, that's true. It's an amazing country. You don't have to be bright. You don't have to be intelligent. You don't have to contribute anything of any value. You can become fantastically wealthy and or lead the country. Kamala Harris, good Lord. And who was it? It was Senator Chris Coons in Delaware, right, who ran against a witch. They, since you mentioned witches, Dave, and in the olden days, you're right. These are the people that lynched witches. We never burned any in the United States. They burned a lot in Germany. But yeah, they ran against a witch in Delaware. Today is Mailbag Day. It's the day of the mailbag. And Hump Day. Stay away from the Clinton household. Unless, you're the Energizer Bunny or something like that, in which case that's all been worked out in advance. But it is Mailbag Day. And I should get to the mailbag because it's we're in the midst of hour number two. And Kevin Tober has put together our mailbag questions for the day. I was hoping to take Kevin and the whole gang out for beers this week. It's getting pretty hard because it's Wednesday already and it's Hump Day and all that. But let's go to the mailbag because the plumber's wife weighs in with, do you think Trump will be sent to jail? Do you think Trump will be sent to jail? Well, let me say I certainly hope not, but these left-wing commie types, they throw their political enemies in prison all over the left-wing world. And, there is a great legal scholar and legal thinker, a professor and former Bush administration Justice Department official, John Yoo. Although Mediaite had a headline on him the other day, and they called him John Woo, W-O-O, instead of John Yoo, Y-O-O, because they're racists. You see, that's the thing about them. But the Newsweek fake magazine, do they still publish anything? Because they had a few days ago, Trump could be, quote, sent to jail immediately, end quote, by Judge Merchan, the, Democrat Party donor whose daughter is a Democrat Party political activist, could be sent to jail immediately by Judge Merchan, legal analyst. That's the headline, talking about John Yoo, who I have a great deal of respect for. Donald Trump could be imprisoned immediately after his upcoming sentencing. Law professor and former Bush administration official John Yoo said. Judge Juan Merchan, a left-wing radical and an extremist, a Biden donor, and his daughter is a left-wing political activist, and he has ruled against Trump at every possible turn. Judge Juan Merchan is due to sentence Trump in September, what with the election in November and everything, in the Stormy Daniels hush money case. Oh, that's the non-disclosure agreement. I'd like to see if Judge Juan Merchan or his office have had entered into any non-disclosure agreements. Wouldn't be at all surprising. But certainly NBC, ABC, CBS, CNN all have women that have signed non-disclosure agreements, and probably men too. But the non-disclosure agreement is standard legal practice. This case is a sham of a scam, of a fraud. But nevertheless, Juan Merchan is a radical, and he might want to fire on Fort Sumter again by saying, oh, yeah, you're going to jail in the Stormy Daniels case because a non-disclosure agreement is now an imprisonable offense. Every network exec in New York would be in prison in a day. John Yoo, pointed out that Merchan has ruled against Trump many times and could jail him as the sentencing hearing, and that's what Newsweek magazine writes, as the sentencing hearing, not at the sentencing hearing, which I assume is what they had intended to write, but they're illiterate at Newsweek magazine and dishonest, corrupt. Yoo was appearing in America's Newsroom on Fox News, and Bill Hemmer called Trump sentencing the story nobody's talking about, and, surprised that will hit in September. And John Yoo said, it's excellent you noticed how the calendar is working this way. Judge Merchan has ruled against Donald Trump every opportunity he's had, John Yoo said. And he's a law professor at Berkeley, no less, University of California at Berkeley. Said that Merchan has already moved the sentencing date closer to the beginning of mail-in voting. And John Yoo points out he could have exercised this discretion here to change the sentencing date. Now, but let me say this, the plumber's wife. I think if this radical does do that, does decide to sentence President Trump to prison for a non-disclosure agreement and a voluntary non-disclosure agreement, a kind of a typical New York City media non-disclosure agreement, that he'd be picking a fight that he might regret. And I think that it would be prudent of him, unless he likes civil war, I think it might be prudent of him, even if he's going to sentence him, which would be ridiculous and unjustified and a corruption of justice that might land him in prison later on for his involvement in this. He would suspend the sentence, like in The Godfather, suspended a sentence. And that way, is like, see, I did it, but I didn't do it. So I think the plumber's wife, I think it would be a half measure like that over a non-disclosure agreement. It would be, essentially an act of, I'll just say, political warfare to do that. But I think he's going to be inclined to sentence him to jail time, to prison time for this non-crime, and then act as though he's noble like a communist dictator and say that he's going to suspend the sentence. Then the Democrats can have their talking point, but they don't start the Second American Civil War. And he can maybe still go to his car in his driveway in the morning, and it would be okay. Toothy Grins. Thank you, the plumber's wife. Toothy Grins asks, is politics the same way it was 25 years ago, or has it gotten worse? What has or hasn't changed? Politics much worse today than it was 25 years ago, much worse. I've been covering this town for 33 years, I think, maybe even more now, maybe 34 years. As a news guy and with CNN, starting as a researcher, then an assignment editor, then a producer, then a senior producer, then a correspondent at CNN, and then doing talk radio. I left that because it became a disgraceful thing to do every day, and I was ashamed to be doing it. So I left and I moved on. And then I found my way by happenstance to talk radio. But better or worse than it was 25 years ago? Much worse. It's gotten much worse. 25 years ago, Republicans and Democrats in the media on Capitol Hill, working in Democrat offices and Republican offices, would hang out with each other and act like normal people and go out and, drink beer after work and hang out with each other. And Democrats dated Republicans and Republicans dated Democrats, and, not just to screw each other either. It was because people enjoyed one another's company, and you could disagree and still be civil. That is no longer the case. Politics is a vicious, ruthless, nasty, horrible, criminal enterprise. And it's one of the reasons that, nobody in their right mind wants these jobs anymore. And you get John Fetterman. Of course, they had Dr. Mehmet Oz, but the racist Democrats in the media put the kibosh on him to put this member of the Addams family in there. But nobody in their right mind wants to be president of the United States or even a senator. Governor might be as far as you might go, a House member. But what has or hasn't changed, Toothy Grins asked. We were talking about it in the pre-show meeting with Bill Hess and Michael Piercy and myself. I blame the Democrats, of course, and I said in the meeting, I'm biased, but I blame the Democrats. The Republicans don't have the cultural sway and the media sway to corrupt things and to make things as hostile as the Democrats have made things. They do it through everything from Saturday Night Live and Comedy Central and, Stephen Colbert and Jon Stewart and everything else to make everything as hostile. And none of those shows are funny anymore. They used to be fun and funny. But they've made everything unfun and unfunny because the real left took over the Democrat Party. They're not liberals anymore. They're the left. And the left is a vicious criminal gang of murderers, around the world and for the last century that destroy everything. And they've really sunk their teeth into academia where you see all this Jew-hating, anti-Semitism, all the madness, the racial divisions, the black-only this and Latino-only that, graduations. The left has polarized and balkanized the country in ways that we couldn't have imagined 25 years ago. The races were happy to get along wonderfully 25 years ago. Then the left came to town, and they galloped in on horseback with hoods and torches. Joe Biden just passed the torch the other day. Democrats have a long history of using torches to burn stuff down. What has and hasn't changed? I tried to hover just slightly above the lunacy, the madness, even though I'm immersed in it every day to one degree or another, and one way or another. But I've got to say, the Republican Party hasn't changed very much. But finally got Donald Trump, got somebody that throws punches, that throws counter punches. And in the fight, unlike Mitt Romney and, for that matter, George W. Bush and H.W. Bush and so on. But honestly, we put up Bob Dole, a World War II, where you put up Mitt Romney, a Mormon who's never had a drink or a smoke and never cursed, and the most polite man in the world. And they destroy him because once his family took the dog on vacation, and they destroy, Joe Biden sexually assaults his staffer, pins her against the wall and violates her with his hands, and the news media laughs and goes to lunch. Mitt Romney took his dog on vacation. The Democrat Party has been corrupted by the real left, and the news media is as filthy and corrupt as any corrupt news media in the history of Western civilization, the American news media right now. And they are a huge, huge part of the problem. They are central to the divisions that we're experiencing in the United States of America. So, it's not the same way it was 25 years ago, Toothy Grins. It's gotten a lot worse. It's meaner, it's nastier, it's less truthful, less honest. And the news media used to do a better job of holding feet to the fire for Republicans and Democrats. Now they're just a gang of hookers on a street corner who, perform tricks for meth or fentanyl, but they're just a gang of corruptniks. I'm sorry to say that, but it's true. And honestly, it's one of the reasons that I prefer to keep things as civil as possible here for 3 hours a day. I don't want to contribute to the nastiness, but you got to tell the truth. I have to tell the truth anyway. And sometimes the truth is unpleasant enough all by itself. Reacher, thank you, Toothy Grins. Sad answer, I'm sorry to say, but it's a truthful answer. Reacher 33 asks, who's in charge at the White House? That's a good question. The answer is nobody is that we can tell. And if we had a news media, they might want to know that too. But Joe Biden's on vacation at a billionaire's ranch in the Santa Ynez Valley behind Santa Barbara, California, where I lived for 7 years. Santa Ynez Valley, a wonderful, beautiful place, ranches. Michael Jackson used to have his ranch back there. Duck, duck, goose. But who's in charge at the White House? Reacher 33 wants to know. And the answer is, as far as anyone can tell, nobody. And where's Al Haig when you need him? Did you ever meet Al Haig? Also from Reacher 33. Well, Al Haig has moved on to his great reward, of course. General Al Haig, 4-star Army general, became Secretary of State. Did I ever meet Al Haig? I did meet Al Haig several times. I spent Christmas Day at Al Haig's house in Virginia one year, sent there by CNN on a story, interviewed him, hung out with him, video, took pictures with him. I was wearing this awful, horrible, terrible, ugly sweater, like Christmas sweater, and so the pictures are terrible. But I liked. I met him at CNN at the Bureau in Washington. He came in and there was a guy, like one of his guys, a retired Army colonel who was working with him after he had retired as Secretary of State, and I called him General a couple of times, several times, and his guy kind of got in my face and said, he was Secretary of State. Secretary of State outranks General. And I said, I apologize. Certainly meant no offense. I admire him very much. I think he worked most of his adult life to achieve the rank of General, 4-star General, and it's a revered title in my book. And I certainly meant no slight or no insult. Didn't mean to demote him. I think 4-star General is kind of cooler than Secretary. And Haig smiled and came over and, slapped me on the shoulder and stuff. And then later I was at his house for Christmas one year, and he couldn't have been nicer, a nice guy. And he asked the question because the day that Reagan was shot, Al Haig, Secretary of State, famously in the White House briefing room, when reporters were yelling, "Who's in charge? Who's in charge?" Al Haig said, "I'm in charge here." And he took the podium, and it was about answering questions for the media, right? But instead they attacked Al Haig for saying, "I'm in charge here." Completely ridiculous. Al Haig was a great American, a great leader, a great man, Vietnam War hero, a solid, smart, capable, serious Secretary of State, unlike the Twinkie we have now, and a great guy. And I was very happy to have met him more than a couple of times. I have one more mailbag question that I must get to, and I'm going to get to. Yeah, I have this picture of me with Al Haig, and I've always found it kind of an embarrassing picture because this awful sweater, Christmas sweater, ugly Christmas sweater thing. I don't think I've done that since because of that. Yeah, but I know where his grave is at Arlington Cemetery, too. I've visited to say hello. One more mailbag question coming up, and then Chicago burning the flag, hating the Jews, and lying to the people. That's the Democrats, including the Obamas. The great Al Haig, General and Secretary of State, Al Haig. Last question from the mailbag today from Kurt Compton. Kurt Compton. In your opinion, what's the best way, above and beyond simply voting? What way can an actual rational thinking person do to turn back the tide of the socialist creep happening at the hands of the Democrat Party? You start in the home and in the family to try to enlighten people. I mean, I find you want to vote Democrat, be a Democrat, you're a family member, that's okay with me. I prefer that you not be wrong about everything. So I like to help people to be well-informed on the great issues of our day so that they can be intelligent voters. And honestly, Kurt, beyond that, and I've been saying this for 15 years, I think, you got to run for the local school board. You got to run for the local town council or the city council. You've got to, our political organizations have been taken over by a very small number of political zealots and fanatics. And on a local level, on a county level, on a city level, the left has, organized and brainwashed and indoctrinated so many legions of lunatics that they've taken over everything on, big and small when it comes to the environmental board in your county that'll take away people's backyards and the commies, they don't think they're commies, but for the most part they are. Amazing. And we got a little Al Gore. You got Al Haig there. There's Al Haig at the White House the day that Ronald Reagan was shot by John Hinckley.
As of now, I am in control here in the White House, pending return of the Vice President, and in close touch with him. If something came up, I would check with him, of course.
As of now, and he said the perfect thing. It was the absolute the press corps in the White House briefing room was going crazy. It was the day that Ronald Reagan had been shot by John Hinckley. The press secretary, James Brady, had been shot. Now that press room is named the James Brady Press Room because of that. Secret Service agent Tim McCarthy had been shot. A D.C. police officer, Thomas Delahanty, had been shot. Al Haig was the senior ranking government official in the White House at that moment, and he gave the perfect answer and was naturally attacked and smeared and slimed for it by the usual cast of characters.